My name's Tamara Stewart. I've done a lot of work on National Register nominations for the sites in the Galisteo Basin as part of the Galisteo Basin Archaeological Sites Protection Act of 2004. And this is San Marcos Pueblo, one of the biggest prehistoric pueblos in the Southwest, with some 2,000 rooms and 22 plazas. And so we're here trying to do a little maintenance on the check dams that were put in '08, and we've got some great volunteers that have been really active with the Galisteo Basin Working Group. We've been trying to do some erosion control and documentation and just raising awareness about the importance of the prehistoric pueblos and contact period sites in the Galisteo Basin.
While I was down slope just now repairing the check dam, I found a really interesting potsherd, which is a broken piece of pottery made by the people who lived here. It's especially interesting to me, not just because it shows the beautiful decoration on the exterior of the vessel, but because on the interior you can still see how the pot was built from coils. The lines of decoration that you see here that are black are made from a paint that has lead in it that fuses to form a glassy and sometimes shiny looking decoration when it's fired. And on the inside you can still see the edges of the coils where the wet clay was rolled into little ropes, and then those ropes are coiled in a spiral fashion, one on top of another, gradually building up the wall of the vessel.
The high point there on the other side of that is where the mission was built. That's where the biggest excavation has occurred. First excavation was 1912, and they did a lot of excavations, but small ones. And I guess the last big one was done by hand, and it was all surface. They didn't do any digging. Hauled off, she said, 80,000 things. Right before her, though, they dug up the mission, Dave Thomas, and he hauled all that stuff to New York City. Kids, this area is where they go crazy because it's a good midden where a lot of stuff is washed up and everything. They forget they're supposed to put things down where they got them, and this looks like a good place to put them. They did surface, I guess you could call it excavation, because they didn't dig, through the whole thing and collected sherds and other evidence that they found, and they were able to date them. But the coolest thing is they were kind of able to develop the story of this place, you know, where it started and then how it evolved. And they dated that, you know, when each area occurred. Anyway, so it's very important that this stuff be left where it is, because there'll be other technology in the future so that they can learn even more. This was the original structure, and there's a nice arroyo right there that you can't see. And there's other structure over there, part of it under Highway 14. And that was part of the original. But let's think about why they would come here. Right down there, you can't see it, is a natural spring. And if you go down there, there's still beautiful pools of water. But it's also like maybe 70 feet down there. And I don't know how high this was, but no matter what, it was a nice high spot for them to build on. Chachahuitl is where all the turquoise came from. So when they parked here, they had water, a nice high spot, and I'm sure the cottonwoods they cut down for their, you know, to build their roofs and things like that. There's ponderosa pine over there. And not much anymore, so you can imagine that they took it all and brought it over here. So this is a great place to start a house. If I was building, I would put it here. You see a light strip of rock, that's where the turquoise mine is. This was a pottery production center, and pottery from here is found everywhere. You know, I asked what did they trade, and the one thing she's pretty convinced of is obsidian, because it doesn't occur here, but you find it everywhere.
I am the coordinator for the local chapter of SiteWatch. And SiteWatch is a state-sponsored organization of volunteers that patrols archaeological sites and just monitors for damage, either human-caused or natural caused. And we keep the agencies that control those sites up on that information.
I've been an archaeologist, if you will, since I was a little kid, and I have always wanted to engage in that as a way of telling a story about the past. However, I recognize that as an outsider in the Southwest, the sites don't mean exactly the same thing to me as they mean to the tribal people who live near me. And for them, it's an ancestral place. They have a deep and abiding connection with it from a cultural standpoint.